Alright everybody, hello and welcome. As always, I am Sean. This is In The Mixer, episode 59, at the start of season 15 in our Hashtag United series in Football Manager 2019. We're getting into our last episodes now because the beta is going to release any day now. And you might be wondering why am I dressed like this? Because I've been doing all kinds of stuff during the off season. Been bringing players in, sending players out, doing whatever we have to do. And we might as well go through that portion first. So first we'll go through the guys that have left. We've said goodbye to quite a few different players. Thomas Greshey was fantastic for us last season, the left winger, still only 20. He was a decent player, but really I think he'd kind of hit his ceiling in terms of how much potential he was going to actually make. Full Hungarian international, had played quite a bit. We've moved him on to Stoke for 8.5 million, which is a profit on what we paid for him. Zivanovic has gone to Arsenal for 1.1. We about broke even with what we actually paid for him when we brought him in from Partizan a few years ago, mainly just because he was upset. I would have happily kept him around, but he wasn't quite happy with being a backup player to Jeremy Berger, who was exceptional for us last year. Martin Maguire, my Australian brother, has gone to AEK Athens. Got 8.5 million for him, which is a pretty good return on what we paid. Not, like astronomical fees that we're receiving or anything like that, but we are making a profit. Still a solid player. We just kind of ran out of space for him, given some of the players that we've tried to bring in. Kohlenberg has also gone to Norwich. He never really made it through into the first team, just because of some of the other players we had, and he was only really like a 2-star player, trying to make the most of 5-star potential, but because he's not getting any football, he wasn't going to get it anywhere near that level. Benny Mulgard's left. Benny Mulgard was fantastic for us, to be fair. He always scored when we brought him on. He was our leading scorer the first season in the Premier League with 11 goals. He jumped off the bench a couple of games last season and got late winners for us. So basically he got given a good opportunity to go to Red Bull Salzburg. It's hard to turn that one down for him given some of the players that we've brought in, but we'll go with that in a minute. And Aidan Graydon. Aidan Graydon is a player that I've had sort of a love-hate relationship for. So when we picked him up initially from Tottenham, he was magnificent. When we were back down in the Championship, just a phenomenal player. And just since then, he seems to have had like personality clashes, either with me or with other people in the playing group. There was a couple of times he cracked it and I sent him out on loan to try and keep him. He cracked it again during the off season about his playing time and his position behind Eric Rapp, and we've got Joe Laird there as a backup, so we've let him go as well. Relatively cheap. He's going for 475k to Middlesbrough. I think we actually lost out on him, but that's fine. I'm not worried about it. Rafa Sanchez we were actually going to keep. He's moving on to £10 million to Stoke. Once they put that bid in, he became a bit unsettled. He wanted to leave, and realistically he only would have been like our fourth choice striking option anyway, so it made a bit of sense to cash in now while we could, rather than let him have like a wasted season as a backup player. Still only 20, he's got a ton of time to improve. We will come up against him at this point in the season as well. Dominik Rojak has also left. He's gone back to Poland. He's fallen out of favour with the national team, and now he's 21. With the goalkeeper it's a little bit different in the way that they like kind of grow and develop and whatever else, but his potential was dropping a little bit. He wasn't going to play ahead of Patton Armour in goal, so it made the most sense to kind of push him on and let a young player come in that will try and develop as a backup player, and if we don't, they can move on. Which brings us to this list that you see over here, the guys that we've brought in. Now, there has been a key focus with all the deals that I've been trying to push on bringing in English talent. One, because we need to have players in the squad, 8 players in our squad of at most 25 that have been trained at the club for more than 3 years prior to their 21st birthday. We've got a few that are on their way to that, but then a lot of the international players that we've brought in, they're still like at least 18 months. Some of them are a year. Like Jeremy Berger will have that at the end of this year. But the likes of Kohler, Rapp, like those guys, they've still got another 12 months to go before that actually becomes a thing. So we've had to kind of prioritise getting English talent, and you do pay a bit of an English tax, which is why some of the numbers that you guys are going to see here are pretty inflated. The big one that we brought in is Tom Bradbook. He's been like our star signing. 21-year-old, he's a full England international who's been in the last few squads for the England team. An excellent central defender, and he can play a bit as a ball-playing defender, which is what we're continuing to push towards. Great tackling, good physical attributes, good mental attributes. Hopefully he can take us that little bit further and we continue to give him a platform to succeed. Picked him up for 70 million in the end from Norwich. It's 20 million up front and then 50 over the next 3 years, so it's not just a massive dent to our initial budget, and that's why that figure looks a little bit inflated. You can pay a little bit less to get him up front, but you've got to pay it all at once, or you can try and schedule it over the next 3 years and build from there. And he's only 21, like we should keep him around for a good while and hopefully get some sort of return on that investment. The other one is Paul Howell, an 18-year-old or now 19-year-old winger, either footed, can play on either wing. His versatility is really the reason that I went after him so aggressively. Came through Arsenal, never made a first team appearance, but had an excellent under-19 European Championship. He was in the same squad as Ahmed Kwakwa, a couple of the other guys that were picked up as well. So we've paid £65 million to bring him in and round out a few more English players within our squad. He'll likely start on the left wing just because he's a very talented player. Tommy Oliver's the late one that we brought in. I wasn't initially going after him, but he similarly came up after the European Under-19 Championships. He did pretty well in that tournament. I think England finished as the runners-up to Spain. Can play as both the complete forward and the advanced forward, so both roles that we're actually doing at the moment. 17 finishing is a phenomenal attribute. Really good potential still to come. 19 years old. He's on a bit of money a week, but that's fine. You've got to pay that if you're going to try and bring players in from the likes of Tottenham or Arsenal or whoever else. And he'll likely round out the squad. We'll get to the two starters in a moment, but Kelvin Austin's going to be the backup goalkeeper. We spoke about Rojak and why I've let him go. Kelvin Austin, 2-star current ability, 4.5-star potential, better suited to being a backup player. Patnam will play pretty much every game that he's fit for, so it doesn't make sense for us to have like another high potential player, really. And Kelvin Austin adds to our English quota. We had to pay £30 million for him, which is fine. He's a young English talent, that makes sense. And similar situation with Finn Finch that you see here. One, it's great alliteration. Left wing back, Finn Finch. Ex-Bournemouth player, now with #United, spent last season out with Atromitos in the Greek Super League. Made a couple of appearances with them, scored a couple of goals. We'll continue his development towards being a wing-back on support, but really, Jeremy Berger owns that position. We're not going to drop him for any reason other than fitness, so it makes sense that we have like a low current ability but high potential player there as a backup that isn't really going to be too stressed about their playing time or anything like that. Gary James, similar situation. We brought him in to be a backup box-to-box midfielder. Looks to be a solid young English central midfielder, only 18 years old, 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential. Paid £20 million for him as well. $5 million up front, $15 million over the next 3 years. The same story for Finch as well. Nen we've had purchased I think now for 3 years, and he's finally actually joined us, and we bought him back when he had 2-star current ability and 5-star potential. His development in Brazil has continued, making 14 appearances and scoring 11 goals for Corinthians over the last 3 years. 4-star current ability, 5-star potential. He's already one of our best players without having kicked a ball. 17 finishing, 17 first touch, 17 technique, really good physical attributes, good mental attributes, good determination, good teamwork. Already in one to kid status, so he's going to be excellent for us and will come straight into the starting lineup and take the big number 9 top for the season. Now, where does that leave us as a squad? We've got an even 22. There's nobody in our under-18s. There's nobody in our under-23s. We're set up to go through and do the next 6 months. And if we get to January and there's some things that we need to change or some players that aren't playing well or fulfilling their potential, we can jump back into the transfer market. But we have an average age of about 19 and a half across this squad. The oldest player, Tom Bradbrook, 21. The youngest player, Ahmed Kwakwa, still only 17 after we paid £40 million for him last season. We'll go through the starting lineup for this fixture, but it is worth noting both George Sosa and Nen are out for this first fixture. I do see them as being the two that will start together. George Sosa will play as the complete forward on support, and he's the captain for this season as well, still in one-to-kid status. So we're going to continue to try to develop him, and Nen will likely play as the advanced forward leading the line up top. He's just a bit better of a finisher, so it makes more sense that we're setting him up for opportunities, but he can also do the complete forward role if we need him to, if it's not working out. So it's great to have that flexibility. It's great to have a couple of different players that can perform a couple of different roles in the side. And while we are starting to splash the cash a little bit, we are continuing to work towards developing players to become 5-star players in the team and in the division. Now, before we get too far into it, I know I usually do this at the end of the episode. I have a long-running theory. By the time this episode comes out, it should be Tuesday, the 22nd of October. We know that the FM release date isn't going to be until Tuesday, the 19th of November, but I have a feeling that they're going to give longer than the usual period. Usually they would do about 2 weeks for the beta version. I know that they're only bringing it out on Tuesday, the 19th, because that's the release date for the Google Stadia, and they wanted it to be a launch release. So it makes sense that the full game comes out before that. I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to see a longer than usual beta, and it might actually go for 3 weeks, which potentially means we might see it that week of Monday the 28th or at some point throughout that season. So what we're going to do is, I'll go through it at the end of the episode, but we're actually going to announce like a schedule for this season, and depending on where we finish, depending if we like push up and get into like those top 6, top 7 spots in potential European football, we might look at whether we come back and do a season 16. If we don't, if we get to a point where we have a good end period and we're getting towards where we think that beta is going to come out, we might make this the final season, but I'll keep you guys posted as we continue to go. And in reality, that's a tough situation because we don't exactly know when that beta is going to drop, and we really just want to try and give this series as good a finish as possible. So it might be that this is the last season and we finish it up on Friday the 25th. It might be that we push on and try and get one more season in and go from there. But before we get to that, We do have to get past our first 2 fixtures of the season, away against Bournemouth to start the season, and then our first game at our new #United Stadium, which has taken 2 years to build. It's only 15,000 capacity. If you remember back to last season, we had an average attendance of 25,000. So I've already asked the board to expand on that further, and they've agreed to. They're going to expand it out to about 20,000. It's still not exactly what we want it to be. Like, we would love a 30,000 seat stadium, all-seater, all that sort of stuff that comes along with it. But these things take time, they take development. Unfortunately, expanding a stadium takes a bit of time as well. So that's going to happen at the end of this season and will be completed by November of next year. So if we do come back, we will get to see that fully completed and expanded stadium as well. Finances, because you've seen the spike there, I'll just quickly show you. We've got a £30 million overall balance. It's projected to continue to grow over the course of the season, as it has done every year since we made the Premier League. And we are so far away from those times back when we were like, negative £1 million in debt and all that sort of stuff 10 years ago. So continuing to move in the right directions, continuing to get new sponsorship deals, continuing to grow as a team and a club. For those of you who were wondering where we've been training, we were at Selhurst Park last season, but because we've moved into the new #United Stadium, we've returned to Coles Park in London, which is where #United played their first season. Speaking of the pre-season, we've had really good run of results. We've won pretty much every game. We played a couple of the local London teams, Barnet, who we used to share the hive with. We were going to play Crystal Palace, but I didn't really want to play a team that's in our division, so we played Charlton instead. We played Haringey Borough, who we used to share Coles Park Stadium with, and then we played 4 of the most recent relegated sides from the Premier League: West Brom, Huddersfield, Brentford, and Leicester. The bottom 3 there all went down last season, and we convincingly beat all of them. So it's good to see that we are making that jump ahead and playing a bit better than the teams that are currently towards the top end of the championship. Tactically, we're following on from last season, 3 different instructions: positive, cautious, and attacking. If you want to see what those tactics are like, just pause it when I've gone through them there, and you'll be able to have a look at the in possession and out of possession instructions. We're working a weird hybrid system where it's like half of what I want, half working that trequartiste gegenpress. Trying to be a little bit more direct this season and hopefully pushing ourselves up the division and into a higher Premier League position. But more than enough talking from me, let's jump straight into the game against Bournemouth now so that we can get the football started. Season 15. It's been a hell of a journey. It feels like forever ago that we were starting back in like Eastern Counties League Division 1 forever ago. But a thoroughly rewarding journey. They're playing a 4-2-3-1. Braff is a pain in the arse. He's scored against us 100 times. Mark Flood was an Irish wonder kid last season. We actually tried to sign him, and then we both made contract offers to him. We actually offered him more a week, and then they came back in and offered him like 105k a week, and we couldn't compete with that at the time. So he moved on there, and good riddance to him. We've got better strikers now. Sigrist and Oliver are going to play up top for us. Neither of them are first choice in terms of like the season structure. You can kind of tell by the kit numbers that what you've got here, if someone's 1 to 11, they would expect to be starting the majority of the weeks. Oliver will make his debut for us. Sigrist was excellent in the run-in last season. Howe's going to make his debut on the left wing. Navarro, the physical beast, on the other side. Kwakwa and Akanovic as the midfield pairing, the 2 wonder kids together there. Berger wearing the armband with George Sosa out at left wing back, Eric Rapp at right wing back. Collar will come in as coverage for Kupic, who's currently out injured, and Bradbrick will make his debut, the £70 million man, and Pat Narmer, of course, in goal. Passionately, we're just going to say we know we're underdogs. We're going to the Steve Fletcher Stadium. I did mention it in the previous episode. It's no longer Dean Court. They moved and named their stadium after their legend, Steve Fletcher. And we haven't seen that yet for me for #, but we have started brightly here. Navarro comes forward, skips past a couple. Majid gets it away. It hits the deck. Morajan heading towards a wide area. Howell recovers. Is this highlight going to end? Forward to Sigrist. We're going to see a strike on goal before this one finishes. Sigrist skips past a couple very well. Akanovic rolls one. Plays inside to Howell. First strike at goal for the season and first for Howell in a #United kit, and he puts it just past the top corner. But positive signs, definitely. 30 minutes gone, we're going to use our demand more shout. Everyone seems focused after that. Highlight here, Rapp to start with the throw-in on the right. Can he get the ball across now? It's a deep one, and Harries in the Bournemouth goal claims it relatively easily. Got good numbers back. It's a long ball forward towards Flood, who turns away when he really shouldn't have been allowed to. Square ball to Morajan, and thankfully, Morajan, I actually couldn't read his name correctly. It's hard wearing sunglasses. Morajan, it looks like. And he blazed over from the top of the 18-yard box. Right, we get to half-time, 6 shots, 2 on target, 41% of the ball for Bournemouth, 6 shots, 1 on target, 59% for us. Really, both sides from the highlights that we've seen have just blazed over from outside 18. No one's really had like a clear-cut opportunity. So let's just passionately say we've been the better team here. No one's responded positively, so let's just say you weren't that bad, you weren't that bad, you weren't that bad, but you can still improve. And everyone seems to have responded positively. As we always do, we'll give it about 15 minutes, and then we'll have a look at subs based on cards, fitness and form and whatever else. See if we can spark a bit of change. Pattern armour claims straightforward. Is that the end of the highlight? It is. Highlight here, Harry's with a long ball forward. Berger should bring it down pretty well. He does. Looks for Sigrist in the channel. Matthews should have it covered. Goes back to Harry's again. Long ball towards the corner. Berger's unchallenged. Played forward to Howe. Cuts inside. Skips past one challenge. Backstick runner towards Navarro. And it's an excellent ball from Paul Howe and a phenomenal finish from Juan Carlos Navarro. Howe not quite in wonder kid status. Navarro is. But I tell you what, if he continues making runs like this and laying it on a plate for his teammates, he will move up to wonder kid status without a second hesitation. It's a good finish. Didn't have much of an angle to aim at. Just squeezed it in between the near post. Made it difficult for the keeper. And we go a goal to the good. Long ball forward again now towards Oliver. Can he get the goal on debut? Instead, it comes back out to Arkanovic, who gets a strike away and just past the far post. Highlight here, McMahon to take a deep free kick. He's looking for a long ball forward. Rapp should tidy up without any pressure around him. Looks for Howell out on the left wing, who's picking the ball up in good spaces. He immediately steps inside and loses the ball to Majid. Moxon. Arkanovic recovers. Crossfield switch now to Navarro. He bursts forward into space, looks for a crossfield switch towards Howe. Can he get a decent ball in? Square one in, and it hits the deck, and Arkanovic puts home his first goal of the season. The young Bosnian international, still only 19, even though we've had him for 2 seasons, manages to poke that one home for his first goal of the year. And it's been a good performance and a good response in the second half. Howe with a lovely little way to pass there. Sigrist gets tackled in the end, and thankfully Arkanovic is close by to poke home the rebound. Kick-off highlight here, it's immediately continuing. So this game sprung to life in the first half after showing us very little in the in the second half after showing us very little in the first. Long ball towards Flood, brings it down well, bursts into the box, and it's a good finish. That is one of the reasons that we were looking to pick him up last season. He's a very good finisher. He does well. He's pretty much a 1v4 here, but still manages to bring the high ball down, take a touch into the box, and we just needed to get goal side and just stand him up. It's Berger, no, it's Rapp, unfortunately, that he beats. And it's a good low hard finish back across the goalkeeper. Alright, now go on. We're going to make 3 subs. Colbass is going to come on for Quackwa, who's kind of struggling for fitness, as is Paul Howe. They were both away at the European Under-19 Championship, so they haven't spent that much time with the team. Langford's also going to come on for Kolar, who's struggling just a little bit, but in reality, we just want to see out and defend this lead. We can use our Get Creative shout with 30 minutes remaining. A couple of people seem motivated. They've had a horrible team talk. Everyone seemed disinterested, so hopefully that kind of stops their forward play for a little bit. Got to throw in here, Berger to take, forward to Sigrist, deep ball across, headed away by Matthews. Oliver should get there first. Raff instead cuts it out, finds a reverse pass to Rasmussen. To Mia, long ball forward, Flood's in the area again, and he's gotten goal side. It's a good effort, and he's managed to hit the crossbar. It's come back, and we've squirreled it away. Moratan, Orlandic with a good overlapping run. Picks a deep ball across for Braff, and thankfully Rapp gets his body in the way of the shot. So there's definitely still a pressure here. Flood's playing isolation football, but they're doing it very well. Rasmussen with the ball at the top of the box, goes back out wide to Braff. Cross again is closed down by Navarro, out for another corner. Braff with the deep ball now, finds Matthews back post, and thankfully it's pretty pathetic looking at her. He couldn't get it back on target. 10 minutes remaining, we're going to use our demand more shout just to try and focus everybody. A few have responded positively, but really we just need to see out this game because 3 points would be an excellent way to start the season. 4 minutes to be added on. We're through most of that now. Berger with the throw-in on the left-hand side, and the referee calls full time. It's a good win to start the season. 15 shots, 4 on target, and 43% possession for Bournemouth. 12, 3, and 57% for us. Hashtag United edge out opponents in close encounter. A good 2-1 win. Player of the match was Juan Carlos Navarro with his goal, giving him a 7.3 match rating. But look, a pretty decent response. Oliver, Howe, and Bradbrick all make debuts for the club. And we'll go do the press conference. Good win start season. We have faith. It was a one-off, and Tommy Oliver had a poor game. Benoit Tremolinas, one of the biggest free agent signings available at the start of the game, if you're doing your own save, is now the manager of Bournemouth. There's been some crazy managerial appointments. I forgot to mention it, but I've been linked with the jobs at Man City, and I think the job at, I want to say Chelsea, but I think Zidane's at Chelsea. It might have been Manchester United, because I think Sam Powley won the league and then stood down, and Allegri was sacked at the end of last season from the Man City job. Alright, we should get Nen back for the next game, so he'll probably come in for Tommy Oliver. We might also still start Sigrist. Sosa's still out for another week, and Kupic He's returning to full training tomorrow, so we'll put him in there, but in reality, we'll just keep an eye on the fitness tests and stuff. Given that we're only got 2 days before our opening games of the season, we're just going to give everyone a day's rest. Magic of editing, we're jumping ahead to the home match against Manchester City now. Alright, just like that, we're a week ahead now. I've changed some of the settings so that we're actually going to see the stadium right at the start and see how it's all lit up. Only the 2 changes for us, and Nen's going to come straight in and make his debut for the side, leading the line up top, and we're also going to have Kupic come back in. He's gotten through his fitness test. We're going to keep an eye on their fitness throughout the course of the games, and if we need to take them off, we have the subs on the bench. They're playing a 4-2-3-1, a very good team, a very good formation. Kieran Doherty is their best average rated player so far. Full England international starts on the left-hand side of that central defence. Urbis, who we called out at the episode like a couple episodes ago, 2-3 episodes ago, an excellent deep lying midfielder. He'll captain the side. Kevin is one of the best talents in world football at the moment, 28-year-old Brazilian, just a phenomenal talent there. So like, they've definitely got some good players. Even Klomp, I think Klomp previously, still only 25, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, he won the European Golden Boy. And look at the career milestones like Club World Championship, they've won the Champions League, they've won the FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Club World Championship again. 46 goals in 99 appearances for City, so this is going to be his 100th appearance. Hopefully it's not a pretty one for him, but we're going to do our best. Manchester City, of course, gave us our biggest defeat last season, a 4-0 defeat, which we actually recorded. That was the worst result we had. Passionately, I'm going to say, not a lot of you are keen to get revenge. Everyone seems positive with that. And here we go. Have a look at this stadium. We're in director cam at the moment. We're going to stay that way for at least a couple of minutes. It's going a little bit slow, but I just want to see like the stands and whatever else. So here's the data analyst view. You can see we've got stadium, like it's only 1 tier on each of the sides, but it looks good. Big scoreboard or screen in the corner. Vertical scrolling looks awesome. There's some weird deck chairs and stuff in the background. I've never seen them at Premier League fixtures. We need to get the corners filled in. That's the big thing that we need to try and do. They've got a throw in here. Oh no, we're watching full match, so the first highlight might have been... Oh, there's a soccer ball in the background. That's my car. It's the behind goal camera. They've got an early free kick. I'm hoping this isn't a highlight. It's well headed away by Rapp. Back to Peter Santiago. Out to Doherty again. They're pinballing around. Paulo Ruggiero out to Urbis. Strike again. Gets closed down very well, and we should recover. Let's have a look at some more camera angles. TV camera angle looks phenomenal. Look at the lights up at the top there. We've got advertising hoardings on the ground and at the top of the stand. Like, we're going to be raking in the cash. I don't know where in London this actually is, but I wonder what apartment prices are like. Alright, we'll switch it back now. We'll just go to key highlights and we'll go to quick speeds. We'll just do 2D classics. That's my favourite. Martinez comes forward. It's only the 3rd minute, so hopefully this isn't anything too interesting. We've recovered possession well. Navarro with the ball now. Goes back to Kwakwa. Got a nice little triangle on the right if we can work it correctly. Rapp with the ball. Looks for a ball into the corner to nobody in particular. Lorenzini should pick up unchallenged. All the way back to Johnston in goal. Forward to Paulo Ruggiero. Back into Johnston. Long ball forward. Kupic wins the header well. He's very big, Kupic. Wins a lot out of the air. Navarro now on the right wing. Gets a decent ball back stick. Howes in the area and it hits the upright and goes out for a corner. Oh, no, sorry, apologies. A goal kick. But a good opportunity. Kevin now with a deep free kick. Played short to Klopp. Klopp comes forward. Martinez cuts inside, no one goes to him, and he gets the strike away from a wide angle. Really, I don't know what happened there. We had a defender in the area who just seemingly ran forward instead of ran towards the ball and cut out the angle. It's a good finish, take nothing away from that. Klump comes forward. Look at the man out on the right here. It's Martinez that comes forward, and who was that? Howe. Just the young Howe. He just had to try and get goal side of him. Instead, he ran forward, and unfortunately, the defensive line couldn't get across quick enough to actually close down the shot. 30 minutes gone, we're going to use our demand more shout. We do have a highlight here. Paulo Ruggiero cleans it up. Martinez, the goal scorer, is bursting forward. Someone needs to close him down. Good tackle from Bradbrook. Rapp now. Plays Arkanovic. Out wide to Navarro. He's got space to move into. Peter Santiago comes over with an excellent tackle. Doherty cuts back inside. Urbis plays it out. They play very sharp little triangles to get themselves out quickly. Bradbrook with an excellent recovery there. Kupic now. Long ball forward. Sigrist is in the area. If he can get it down, he does very well, and from the angle gets the strike away, but Johnson gets his angles right and pushes it out for a corner kick. Bradbrook has looked good in the last 2 games. Navarro now. Short corner played. Ball into no one in particular, and Paulo Ruggiero gets it out without getting challenged. Again, Howe runs away from the ball, and he's made a tackle, but Klomp has burst forward. from the angle, Martinez, and thankfully it's a poor ball back across the box because there was a man there. Howe just keeps running away from the ball. Highlight continues. No, it doesn't. It's soon, curse of the commentator. Ball back across. Rapp should tidy it up. Navarro now steps inside. Squared at Akanovic. Howe on the far side, and unluckily, his drive to the far post just misses. Alright, so at halftime we are a goal down, but we've had 7 shots, 1 on target, 46% possession. They've got 6, 2, and 54%. Who actually took over? I should have probably looked at that before we played the game. Marcelo Gallardo, who at the start of the game was managing River Plate. Looks like a decent manager, actually. 20 attacking, that's pretty fantastic. But we're definitely still in this. We've had our own opportunities. We just haven't found the quality in the finish or the final ball. Passionately, let's say. Let's just go the same again. I know you're keen to avenge. No one's responded positively. Let's tell there's a lot more to come from our defence. And they've at least responded in a positive manner. As we always do, we'll give it to the hour mark before we have a look at any subs. Corner now. Short one taken to Howe. Deep ball across towards Sigrist, and he's hit the crossbar and it's hooked away. So, still a danger there. We're still getting into the right areas. It was on target, just clipped the crossbar before it went over. Kupic recovers, hooks the ball forward. Paulo Ruggiero now. Forward to Halil Ibrahim. Irby's inside to Peter Santiago. Paulo Ruggiero. We're stopping them playing through their passing channels. It's a good little start to the highlight. We just need to not commit too high up the pitch. To Kristic now, inside to Klomp. Peter Santiago, across to Irby's, into Kevin. Ball for the overlapping Ibrahim. Deep one across towards Kristic, and I think they're going to go look at VAR and maybe give a penalty against Navarro there. They have. They're giving a penalty away, which is very disappointing because we've been playing alright. Martinez is going to take it to add to his tally, and you know what? Patnama didn't do too badly. Guessed the right side, but couldn't keep it out. In 3D here, it's a good hard penalty to the right-hand side. Patnama maybe could have gotten something to it if his other arm had to come across, but he did well enough just to guess the right direction. Alright, 3 subs. We're 2-0 down. We've got to go for it a little bit. We're going to take off Ahmed Kwakwa, and Jan Kolbas will come on and anchor midfield as a deep line playmaker. Tommy Oliver will come on for Jan Sigrist, and Joe Carter will come on for Paul Howe. So we're going to ask Kupic and Nen to get through. Nen hasn't had that great a game for his debut, but we will use our Get Creative shout and see if he can create anything. Make himself a bit of a hero. Alright, the second half is rocketed by. We're now into injury time. We are in the last 10 seconds of it now, so I dare say this throw-in is going to be the last highlight we see this game. Long ball forward, and the referee does call time. So Manchester City win 2-0. But look at it this way, right? If you want to focus on the positive, we've had the same amount of shots of them, we just haven't got them on target. We're doing okay from a possession standpoint, given the way that we're set up and not looking to really retain possession. But they've had 10 shots, 4 on target, 56% of the ball. 10 shots, 1 on target, 44% to us. So we are getting better. We are taking little steps season on season, because I think the first season in the Premier League, we were getting absolutely hammered by these teams. I think they beat us 6-1, and I remember Tottenham beating us 7-1 and me thinking that we were never going to get to that level. Last season, they beat us 4-0 at home, because it was in the last episode, or not in the last episode, but one of the most recent ones. And now they're beating us 2-0. So we're taking little steps forward, but really we need to be taking strides forward at this point in the season. It's our 3rd year in the Premier League. We should be doing a little bit better. Poor finishing cost #United dear in a 2-0 defeat. So disappointing that we couldn't start our life at the #United Stadium with a win. But, you know, look, at least we're taking steps in the right direction and we are creating chances against the best teams in the competition. Nen makes his debut. Hopefully he will continue to get a little bit better than that. Only getting a 6.3 rating, like you expect a little bit more. Alright, so I mentioned it briefly before, but we're going to change our scheduling just a little bit, and I'm going to kind of announce what games we're going to come back and play in each episode. So next episode we're going to come back and do like our 13th and 14th games of the season, which should be roughly here against Southampton and Crystal Palace. 2 very good fixtures. Then we're going to come back and in episode 61 do our 25th, 26th games of the season, which is down here against Wolves and Manchester United. 2 massive fixtures there. And then we're going to finish off the season with our games against Burnley and Liverpool, or we might just do Liverpool and someone else. If we make a cup final, if we make it into the FA Cup final, we'll include that in that episode. But that's how we're going to plan out the rest of this week and take us all the way through to episode 62 on Friday. So keep an eye out. It'll be midnight, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that each of these episodes coming out. That's Australian time, so just figure out when's midnight Australian time in my local time, and you'll figure out when the episodes are coming out each day. If you want to celebrate our new stadium, chuck a like on this video. You can subscribe to the channel if you want to be kept up to date on future videos as they're released, or you can follow @TheMixer_FM on Twitter to be kept up to date to all our interactions in the FM community, as well as all the hype in the build up to FM20. But more than anything, guys, I just appreciate you watching. That's the thing that means the most to me. So as always, I've been Sean, this has been In The Mixer, and don't you ever forget to hashtag it.